Welcome back to the lab, or, well, I guess you could say my office again. Today, we'll be doing almost a 2-in-1 video today. Hopefully, we can get through all of it to date. Now, coming off of my first video, I actually do want to give an update on what's been happening with the beta tank, which is nothing. It's probably the same it's always been. I just gotta, what's the word? I gotta just fill up the water a little bit. That's the thing with those types of tanks, is if you have a bigger project, I recommend you don't, it's, to say it's not crucial, it would be irresponsible at that point. But it is crucial that if you're gonna have multiple tanks, as you'll see as this channel progresses, it's gonna be a lot more. You'll understand the bigger the tanks, the more attention it's gonna get, and the smaller tanks, like the 10-gallon over there, tanks like those tend to get left behind, or let's say because the bigger the tank it is, the bigger, the more attention it needs, especially if you have sick fish. But that's not for today's topic. Today's topic is actually, before I even get into this, I forgot to mention how I keep that tank running. Alright. How I keep that tank running is I have a Fluval 30-gallon filter. That's 3 times more than the size of my tank, but at the same time it keeps my tank clean. But that's not that's the upside. The downside is that betas really don't like water with a lot of current, and because of that, it's also it's upside and downsides to it. But if you're gonna be like, I don't want to say lazy, but more laid back when it comes to maintenance and stuff, which I highly don't recommend. But if circumstances do happen to do that, or if you do run into circumstances like that, I would recommend you get that filter by Fluval, because it not only is it powerful, but it also does a really good job of keeping the water quality, in terms of water quality, clear, and there's hardly any algae. Second thing about that is, what do I feed What do you feed betas? Well, you can feed. I like this because it helps with color. It's by Tetra. It's pretty cheap at Walmart. I think when I picked it up was $4 about. For maybe $3-4. Not too expensive. But if you want to go all out, you could get freeze-dried food. I haven't tried that. I actually do want to try that. And yeah, so let's get into the main topic of tonight. Main topic of tonight is cichlids. Freshwater fish with attitude. Now, it's not as easy as the betas, but at the same time, they're not as peaceful as well. But at the same time, they have very vibrant colors depending on what species you get. Some species are going to be like, one colored. For example, the red devil, which I'll be featuring in tonight's video, because that by far is actually one of my favorites. But the thing is the tank that it's in right now isn't really sufficient for it. But at the same time, I'm looking at moving it to a 20-gallon that I'm not using right now. So I'm looking forward to doing that. But right now, I don't have the proper equipment for that 20, but it will hopefully happen in the very near future. I really do want to move that cichlid. Second thing is, what can I put with cichlids? Now, cichlids, like I said, are freshwater fish with attitude. What I mean by that is they're very aggressive they're let's just say they're a very aggressive freshwater fish. You put anything with it, it'll either do one of two things. One is if it's smaller, where to the point where it can fit in its mouth, it'll eat it. Two is if it's big enough, if it's too big, it'll kill. The more dominant one, or say if you put two cichlids in at separate times, the more dominant one or the one that was there first, if they're the same size, will keep attacking the newly introduced fish until it dies eventually. So, as much as I hate to say this, you guys can try and put multiple cichlids together, but I would highly recommend you, if you're gonna do that, you get maybe at minimum a 55. If you're gonna keep them alone, maybe a 20 gallon is like the bare minimum. Like I would recommend, because one is you have to factor in how much it eats and the size and its full adult size. And second of all is your food choice. Now I personally do like to feed these cichlid pellets by Hikari. I tend to feed one of the smaller cichlids these, but I also like to feed the red devil these as well. But since cichlids are technically carnivores, and if you're planning on getting a larger cichlid when you first buy it, I would recommend these as well for your. It's called Massivore Delights, but I have fair warning that these do run relatively at a high price depending on your local fish store. But Hikari also has a lot of other foods for, as you'll see later, for saltwater, as you'll see in next week's video, or hopefully maybe early this week or later this week, because just a preview ahead, saltwater is going to be like its own mini series, but at the same time this whole channel is going to be a series of the 3 types of fish that I will eventually be introducing to this channel. So let's go and take a look. Okay, so a basic tank. This is why I said I really want to move this guy in here. By the way, this is Red. You'll be seeing him a lot more on this channel as I talk about cichlids and other stuff and give tank updates. But eventually, this is not an ideal size tank, but this is all I had one at the time, because the 20 was currently being used for a different project at the time, which was related to saltwater. So I kind of want to move him there now that I'm not using that 20. But a smaller species like this, which is the albino convict. This one, even though it's a small size, these do get pretty wide. I mean, like, what I mean by that is they get fat, but they eat a lot. These, and also though it's small size, it does tend to be aggressive. But I do want to bring up the point that I prefer that I keep. That's the tank right there. The above tank is gonna be in another video coming out hopefully this week if I can get to it. But that's the tank that I do want to move him to, because I do have the proper equipment for it. So I guess subscribe, like, and maybe I'll just give you a preview of what we'll be talking about next week. Yes. So that's gonna be the biggest project of this channel. If not, this is gonna be the one I talk about the most, because this is gonna be it'll be informative, as well as it's just gonna be mostly my opinion. So, like I said, as I'm always gonna say, my opinion, take it or leave it, or matter of fact, if you want to, you can modify it. But subscribe, like, and comment, and we'll see you Thursday. See ya.